Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone's excited for the first general writing module session which we are bringing you today. This is brought to you by Safe Educare, and in the last week in our academic module, I had promised something for our general candidates that we would be bringing you the general writing module, the analysis of the entire module in terms of task 1 and task 2. So today I have decided to take it up with you, and in this particular live session we would be covering all the aspects needed for a general candidate to prepare for his or her writing module. Now you have to understand that the entire foundation for general and academic in terms of writing is a little bit different, all right? Where in academic, you as an academic candidate, you are asked to showcase your writing skills in terms of task 1, which is an academic graph or a bar graph or a line chart, and subsequently you are also presented with a 40-minute essay. Similarly, in a general Ielts exam, in the general Ielts writing module, you would be showcasing your skills regards to your writing, which would be taken consideration through a task 1, which is a letter writing, and also you will be spending 40 minutes for writing an essay. All right, so we will take this step by step. We will analyze what exactly the general writing module is all about, what sort of letters are included, what kind of an ideas would you need to provide, also what is asked of you when you are writing your essay. At the same point of time, we will also be looking at the essays that are asked in the general context, what kind of essays, what you need to prepare, what are the formats, and I would be sharing my usual bag of tips and tricks that can help you gauge the matter. I do understand that general writing from a perspective in terms of immigration is very important, and a lot of you are aiming at a band score of 7, especially in your writing module. So I hope that you find these strategies effective, and let's begin. Let's delve into the PowerPoint presentation which I have prepared for you today. So looking at the Ielts Masterclass, okay, this is what we would be naming them. So the Ielts Masterclass General Writing Module, this is what we would be looking at today. Now, before I begin, it does not matter if you're from an academic or a general perspective, you can be a part of this video. For the audience who would be watching this, if you have any questions regarding your Ielts general writing, you can share it in the chat, and I would be happy to take it up with you. So let's begin. So the Ielts Masterclass General Writing Module is the session for today. Now, the Ielts General Writing Module basically measures your ability to communicate about common and practical issues which are often expanded on topics of personal interest. So basically, the Ielts General Writing Module, okay, would look at common perspectives, okay, common scenarios in terms of writing, practical issues, and it would ask you to expand your knowledge on areas of your personal interest. Now, a general candidate will be asked to provide factual information and provide suggestions, to express likes or dislikes, to present complaints, opinions, or views. So this is a very important part of your general writing category, and you need to understand that when they are asking you to provide factual information, which means they're asking you to provide logical information, all right? It does not need to be completely honest, but can be a perspective which, yes, it is true in the aspect of the modern generation. At the same point of time, also, it hints at providing suggestions in terms of expressing likes or dislikes. So if you're writing an opinion-based essay, or if you're writing a letter based on your opinion, so what would you consider, what you won't consider in a professional? Also, it would be looking at how you are addressing complaints, providing your opinions or views to a particular context. So there are 2 tasks in which a general candidate needs to complete in the writing section. The first one is the task 1, which is a letter. Letters are usually formal, personal, and semi-formal letters, and 20 minutes would be the time duration you need to use. You have to understand that the writing task in academic or general is integrated. It is for 60 minutes, irrespective of how much time you use for both tasks. But if you're able to use 20 minutes for your task one and 60 minutes for your essay writing, you should be able to complete both of them in the given time duration. So it is very important that you also need to look at the time management skills, all right, while preparing for your task one and task two general module exams. Now, what would you be judged on? Now, it is very important for a candidate to understand what areas is the person being judged when it comes to your writing band descriptors. So the first band descriptor is task achievement. Task achievement basically means that how thoroughly do you understand what is being asked for you. Now, task achievement covers areas such as, the word limit. Have you covered the word limit or not? When you are writing a letter, have you covered all the points in the letter or not? Have you stayed inside the topic or not? Okay. Have you formulated a introduction, a main body, a conclusion? So all these areas, okay, the format, okay, the word length, and yes, the topic which you need to cover in the essay, all come under task achievement. Coherence and cohesion, how you organize your writing or how well your writing is organized. So here, how you have laid down your opinions, what sort of sentences have you used, what kind of arrangement of ideas you've made, how well is your entire writing structure linked. That is where coherence and cohesion come into the perspective. Lexical resource basically means the kind of vocabulary you are habituated to use. So what sort of vocabulary are you using, and in context with your coherence and cohesion, is the vocabulary well arranged? All right. Apart from that, what sort of new words and synonyms are you able to use in your essay and in your letters? And finally is your grammatical range and accuracy, which means how correct your grammar usage is, especially on the part of your tenses, phrases. How well are you able to create complex and super complex sentences with a strong grammatical based structure. So this is the basic outlay of what a general writing candidate needs to understand. All right. Don't focus too heavily in the initial parts of task achievement, coherence, and lexical resource. If you're writing it for the first time, I would suggest work on your grammar first. Okay, first try to write an error-free letter or an essay. Okay, then slowly and steadily move towards organizing them, and then finally using the range of vocabulary. What people do is they don't put more importance on grammar. Grammar, yes, is a very important part of it, but unless and until you understand the proper format of writing, a correct grammatical structure, your coherence and lexical resource will always take a hit, because this is the baseline on which these two will be added on. All right. So first, improve your grammatical range. If you are a candidate who is willing to take a general Ielts examination but has no idea how to go about it, my suggestion is that you need to work with a trainer so that you're able to get the grip on the grammatical range and accuracy, and then slowly and steadily add more words to your existing vocabulary, learn how to use it, and then go towards arrangement of ideas. And then finally, if you compare all three, it will match with your task achievement and you should be able to get a good score. Now, there are various types of letters. Now, looking at the first format of the letters, we'll be beginning with task one. There are various kind of letters that can be asked within the general training module. All right. So the general writing module task one would include around, according to me, 10 kinds of, you could say, letters, which would range from invitation letters, inquiry letters, suggestion letters, letters on apology, letters demanding an opinion, letters related to complaints, to feedbacks, appointment letters, application letters, and sharing your own personal experience-based letters. All right. Now, the format of the letter writing task is given to you with 3 to 4 subpoints that need to be covered. So, in a general writing task one, the letter will be presented. That the format of the letter is such that what you have to write, okay, the scenario would be presented to you, and what you need to be included would be presented in the form of subpoints. Okay, and that is what you need to cover. Now, these invitation, inquiry, suggestion letters, these all fall into a particular category. All right. So there are informal letters and there are formal letters, and there are semi-formal letters, which we would be looking at in the further slides. So let's have a look at some of the examples. So the first example of how a task one would look on a real question paper is something like this. you should spend about 20 minutes on this task. So this is the part of your task achievement. Now, this is not actually measured, but they are giving you a advice that you spend around 20 minutes on it. Some construction work is being done on the street where you live for the last couple of days. So here the scenario unfolds where they are providing you the background of the letter. So there is some kind of a construction work that is being done on the street where you live for the last couple of days. So you have to imagine that where you live, there is a lot of construction work going on. The noise from the work is loud and it disturbs you. So definitely this is pointing towards a kind of noise pollution created because of the construction work. And you have to write a letter to your local council. So local council can be the local municipal corporation or the administrative wing of your civic services, complaining about the noise. All right. And in your letter, introduce yourself, explain how the noise is causing problems to you, suggest solutions to the problem. So these 3 bullet points are the sub points which you need to include. So when you plan your letter, your entire aspect would be judged on how well have you justified, organized, and finally what grammatical structure have you used in these 3 areas. So the basic format of a letter includes introduction. You'll have to portray out the issue that you're facing and then step by step take these 3 areas. So a basic letter for this particular task would be, dear sir, my name is ABCDEFG and I am currently living in this particular area of this particular city since the last couple of years. However, there has been some kind of construction work which has been ongoing from the past 4 to 5 days, and because of the noise that is constantly the noise which is constant from this construction activity is becoming a big hindrance in our daily life. Something like this you can write. So explain how the noise is causing you problems, and you can work on towards explaining what sort of an issues are happening. So you can always lay out possible ideas such as, because of this noise, we are unable to focus on our work, especially children who have their midterms or their final examinations coming up. Apart from this, in my house, or apart from this, my parents or my grandparents, okay, they are being treated for some symptoms of some long course and diseases, and because of this they need constant rest, and because of this noise they are unable to do so. Apart from this, it is destroying the vibrancy and the positivity of your house, and it is disallowing you the comfortness or the kind of relaxation that you need to unwind. And you have to provide solutions. Solutions could be in the sense that it would be a humble request if you could instead of allowing them to work throughout the week, why not make it an odd even suggestion where they are working, and especially change the duration of the hours so that residents in the area are not disturbed, people find it comfortable to rest, and change the timings if possible so that they are able to work at a time when people are not at their home, so and so. So they are providing you the advantage of choosing your directive, your approach on your own, and to think about this particular issue in a context that if this was something which was happening for real, how would you raise this concern with your local authority? So this is the first example. The second one is that you have arranged to visit a friend in Canada, but an important event at home now means that you must change the date of your visit. So definitely this can be an informal letter where you are addressing a friend and you are apologizing that you will not be able to meet that friend, and you need to change the date of the visit. So you're requesting your friend to arrive late or postpone his visit. So here you would be explaining the importance of the important event, apologizing for the situation, and suggesting a new arrangement. So here you can begin with, dear John, I hope that you are well and fine in Canada. I'm really excited to meet you, or I'm really excited for your visit to my home country. Unfortunately, the reason why I'm writing this letter is because of a important function at my home. I would not be able to meet you at our decided date, and hence I request you to postpone your arrival, okay, to a later date. And then explain that I first of all apologize for this inconvenience, and as it was on a very short notice, I could not bring this to your attention earlier because of a family function. I would need to be present, and this function is very important from my family's perspective. And because of this, I would not be able to spend time with you. And due to this, I feel that if you arrive on these dates, you would be alone. And as a host, that would be a wrongdoing on my part. So it is a humble suggestion from my side that if possible, kindly change the dates to next week. So till then, I would have wrapped up my responsibilities pertaining to this function, and I would be free to utilize my time for our meet so that we can spend a couple of days together, and we can look forward to enjoying our time at my home country, so and so, something like this you can write. And finally, the third example is you are a student at a language school in New Zealand studying a business English. Part of the course is a summer work placement program. Unfortunately, you have just learned from the school that this program has now been cancelled. So here, this is a kind of a formal letter which you'll be writing to a language school in New Zealand. You were a part of this course in the summer, but unfortunately, you have learned that this program has been cancelled. So you have to state your reason of writing this letter. You would describe the problems and your concerns and explain what you would like the principal to do. So here you would begin by saying that, respected sir, my name is, and I've been a part of the business English, and I've been pursuing a course in business English from New Zealand, and you can name the school as well. And this was a part, and this course which I was pursuing is a part of a work placement program, okay, which was promised to be by my academic coordinator when I enrolled for this program. But I was shocked to learn that this particular program has now been cancelled, and I'm writing on behalf of the same. First of all, that my course in business English demands that I need a placement program where I would be able to utilize all the theoretical knowledge that I would accumulate over the period of this course in a practical environment. And because of this, I had paid the extra fees which were intended for this particular course. With its cancellation, I believe that I would not be able to completely understand the practical application of my course. At the same point of time, the excess amount which I have invested would be more of a loss to me. Not only this, that I had planned for this particular work placement program in advance, and also I had made sufficient arrangements because I was told that this particular program would take place in a city in New Zealand. So I had already made my arrangements. So now, because of this, everything that I had planned has gone for a toss. So it is a humble request for you to kindly, either you could say provide you a subsequent replacement placement program, or a parallel placement program where you can be a part of your internship and complete it subsequently, or you can ask for the refund of the entire amount towards the placement program which you have paid and end the letter subsequently. So I just gave you a thorough overview of what my ideas would have been if I was attempting the task 1 in the general writing exam, and what sort of words, paragraphs, what sort of ideas, and what sort of brainstorming I would have done if I would have had the opportunity or the need to write these letters. So similarly, you need to have you need to create a general perception as when you are attempting a task 1 within the time frame of 2 to 3 minutes, it needs to click. Okay. Second thing is what a lot of general candidates do. They try to fill in the letter with a lot of ideas. Now you have to understand you only have 20 minutes and 150 words is the minimum amount that you have to write. Okay, the maximum can go up to 180, 200, that does not matter. But then there is no point in putting up a lot of information inside your letters and making it overflowing. Okay, it would not sound nice. It would sound like a lengthy letter written out of an emotional dilemma, and then that would not carry you towards the band target that you're aiming for. You may always lose 0.5 because of this. So my suggestion is that learn to plan an essay through simple points. You need to make sure that when you're writing an essay, you need to cover only those points which you feel you are comfortable with, and you can elaborate them in a compound manner with proper grammatical structures. If you're using something which is way above your, you could say, capacity, then you will end up wasting a lot of time and you will end up making mistakes, or this will hit your planning and your coherence and your lexical resource planning, and this will really cause you to lose marks. So always make sure that you understand through different topics what you have to write. So understanding the topic is a very important aspect of general writing task, And if you are able to do that is only when you have realized what you need to write. So practice brainstorming, take a pen and paper, choose a letter topic, and try to write down the points that you could cover. Visualization is a very important part. If you think about it and place yourself in the shoes of the categories that have given to you in your writing, then only you'll be able to link it with what sort of ideas should you generate. You need to do this because own letters basically are written from a personal perspective. They need to have a personal touch. They need to have an emotional touch. If you're writing letters just for the sake of it, you will never be able to achieve the band score you want. So you have to make it a point to make sure that you are the one who's writing this letter, and you have to make it a point that this is something, if this would have happened with you, how would you have approached it? And your letter also stages concerns, because the way you have written your letter shows what kind of a person you are, and the seriousness in your tone or the emotional tone is reflected through your writing. So you have to make sure that you keep it simple, straightforward, and to the best of your knowledge. Do not try to experiment with areas which you are not comfortable with. All right, let's move ahead. Now, the major aspects or the short aspect of letter writing, the format is something like this. The format of the general letter includes a short greeting, main body, and a closing line to end the letter. So, dear sir or madam, my name is Dash, and I would like to report lost property. It seems that I left my hand luggage on one of your flights last Wednesday, November 22nd. I flew from London to Vancouver on flight number so-and-so and took my hand luggage with me, and I placed it in the overhead bin. Unfortunately, after the long flight, I must have forgotten it on the plane. It is a blue hand luggage on wheels with one outside pocket and is locked with a small lock. Besides, I had all of my school work and books as well as brand new jacket in it. I had just received it as a gift from my grandmother in London, and as you can imagine, these items are very important to me. Please let me know if you have my hand luggage and how I can get it back. Write to me at my return address or email, which is this. I'm looking forward to your reply. Many thanks. So this is just a overview of how a format of a general letter, formal letter, complaint letter looks like. Now, if this would have been a original handwritten letter, things would have changed, because first of all, the question itself I've not put placed over here just because I don't want it to confuse you. This is a very standard example which you'll be able to find in a lot of websites about writing regarding something which you recently lost. This is a quite common example, but yes, this is the structure. You have an opening line, the greeting first, dear sir or madam. You have an opening line where you're introducing yourself and explaining what exactly had happened, and then describing what you had lost, what contents were there in it, and finally, what would you like the authorities to do. So it's quite simple. It is neatly based, okay, and it covers the justification of 115 above words. At the same point of time, it has good amount of correct grammatical structures, and if you see, it is not overdone. All right, no high code vocabulary used. If you know to use it, you could change the aspect of it. For example, my name is, and I would like to report lost property. It seems that I have lost my hand luggage in one of your flights. It happened last Wednesday on November 22nd when I was flying from London to Vancouver on flight number so-and-so. And during that point of time, I had carried my hand luggage with me. And I remember that I had neatly placed it at the overhead bin provided for the luggage compartment inside the flight. Unfortunately, after the long flight, I must have forgotten it on the plane. I realized that I must have forgotten it on the plane. To describe it, it would be a blue hand luggage on wheels, and it has or it possesses one outside pocket and is locked with a small lock. Besides, it included most of my school work as well as important books, and it also contained a fantastic brand new jacket which I had received as a birthday present. You do understand that this particular luggage was given to me by my grandmother before I departed for Vancouver from London, and as it is special to me, you can imagine that this particular item and the contents within would be quite significant. So kindly let me know if you have located my missing luggage, and if yes, please write back to me on my mentioned return address or email, and I would be in depth of your gratitude, so and so, something like this you can change. So you can paraphrase it and also rewrite. This is a very good way to utilize your skills in terms of paraphrasing and in terms of knowing various kinds of synonyms, and to experiment just with the formal language so that you understand how to take it further. Okay, let's move ahead. Now, these are certain letter writing tips which I want to share with you. Now, first of all, you have to identify the very type of letter that is being asked and learn how to use the right openings and closings. For example, if it's a formal letter, so the purpose of writing the letter would be requesting information from a job or applying for a job in a company, complaining to a bank store, airline, or a product or service, making a recommendation or suggestion. So this is where you have to understand the purpose. So formal letters usually are meant for these kind of purposes where you're either complaining to a bank or store, airline. So basically when you're writing to organizations, companies, or you're writing to government offices to seek, feedback on something, recommendation or suggestions, providing feedback, then yes, you are using a formal tone. Semi-formal letters are letters that you are complaining to a person who you know, but you are not that close to a person. It could be someone who you work with, someone like a landlord or a neighbor. And why you have to have a semi-formal tone? Because this particular person has provided a kind of a service to you, or probably lives next door to you, or probably is the one responsible for imparting education. So complaining to a landlord regarding leakage in your house, or seeking help from a neighbor when you're abroad, or probably asking your professor for a permission or clarification would count as semi-formal letters, because here you know the person who you're writing to, but not that in detail. You know the person because of certain aspects of your life. Informal letters are the ones that you are writing to people who are a very important part of your social circle, who you interact with on a regular basis, and you often maintain an emotional tone while writing such letters. It could be inviting a friend or an overseas friend to a function or a birthday party, thanking a friend for some kind of a help he or she has given to you, apologizing for a delay or for a wrongdoing, asking or seeking advice from them, or providing or sharing your experience of a travel trip abroad. These could be parts of informal letters. So through formal, semi-formal, informal, you're able to identify the purpose. So you're able to fix a particular tone behind these letters, and you're able to get an idea as to, okay, what sort of information should I be using it. Now the previous one which we saw as an example falls in the category of a formal letter, where you are making a complaint to an airline regarding lost luggage. The previous three examples which we saw, the construction one again falls in the category of a formal letter, where you are addressing the municipal corporation or the civic community. Second one, you arrange a visit for a friend, can form into the informal because you know the person and you're apologizing. So this can be a part of the informal letter writing skills. And this one also falls in the semi-formal category, the example 3, where you are writing to your professor or a principal regarding the change or the cancellation of the part-time summer work placement program. So you have to understand these. Let's move ahead. Now, the style of a formal letter, the characteristics which you have to include or which you may need to know are that someone you have not met, whose name you don't know, you're writing it to an organization as a whole. So your opening line will always include the words "Dear Sir" or "Madam," and the ending line would include "Yours faithfully." Similarly, semi-formal to someone who you may know or may know because of a service, or someone who is teaching you or associated with you for a certain aspect of your day. You initially use their last names, such as "Dear Mr. Brown," "Dear Mr. Stone," "Dear Mr. Mehta," or "Dear Mr. Sharma," okay? Something like this in order to show a sense of respect while opening such letters. And ending would be "Yours sincerely." "Yours sincerely" and "Yours faithfully," you can use it because there is no condition as such that you have to use "Yours sincerely" itself. In semi-formal letters, "Yours faithfully" can also end because the ending is quite respectable, so you can do that. Informal letters especially are the ones you write to people who you know. So this would directly begin with the name "Dear John," "Dear Anita," "Dear Stuart," "Dear Martin," "Dear Rajan," "Dear Maurya," something like this. All right. And in the end, you can write "Best regards," "Warm wishes," "Lots of love." So you can use your emotional context while ending the letter. But you can't use the emotional context when you're ending your semi-formal and formal letters. You have to be a little bit assertive and you have to be a little bit professional. All right. Now, again, when you are, now these are certain, introductions towards how to begin letters. So when you are apologizing or when you're using the context of apology in your letters, you can use words, sentences such as, please accept my sincere apologies for, or I am very sorry about, sorry for. So these could help you, put up your apology in a perfect manner. For example, say the letter which you are writing says that you have to apologize for the noise, okay, that noise that happened during a party which you had organized at your home and certain neighbors had complained about it. So you're writing it to your neighbor. So again, it would be a semi-formal letter. So dear Mr. Mehta, please accept my sincere apologies for yesterday's issue where where we had organized a party, and because of the music that we were playing caused disturbance to you and your family, and I am very sorry about my behavior that night, and I hope that you apologize for the same, something like this. Asking for help, when you're seeking help from someone, when you're seeking advice from someone, and the letter contains this particular aspect, so you could use something like this, that for example, say in the last letter, the example one of the complaint one that we had seen, that you can add something like this, asking for that I would be grateful if you could provide me a location of my handbag, or I would be extremely grateful if you could return the lost items the lost items, okay, from the airport which I had lost, or I would appreciate if you could help me out in this situation, or could you please do the needful and help me out. I would be grateful if you could locate my missing luggage, something like this. Similarly, when you're asking for more information, seeking information, you can use these contexts. Particularly, you could use this especially in inquiry letters where you are making an application or probably seeking information. For example, you want to know which kind of holiday packages are available for a trip to Thailand. So you can say, so this would be a formal letter. So you could say, dear sir, my name is so and so, and I'm writing to inquire about the various tour packages that you have for the summer vacation for Thailand, or I am writing to inquire about the various kinds of tour packages available for couples who would like to visit Thailand in the summer, something like this. If you are writing this in terms of, say, seeking information in terms of number of books available in the library. So, dear sir, my name is so and so, I'm a student in your college, and I would like to know what kind of books are available in the business category in the library, as I have a pending assignment coming up which I need to submit, and for the sake of the same, I would need to access these books. Again, you can add the asking help over here. I would be grateful if you could point me in the right direction by suggesting me names of some great authors in the business lineup, which would be useful for my project. I would appreciate if you could be useful, something like this. So again, for closing, you could use the words, I look forward to hearing from you, I look forward to seeing you, or I look forward to meeting you. Similarly, when you're complaining about something in your letter, I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction, or I'm writing to express my annoyance with the noise. So the noise one, which we saw as example one, you could use it in that context, that I'm writing to express my annoyance and dissatisfaction with the constant noise, and the origination of it is from the construction site, which has recently begun work for a commercial project, and because of this, I am not at all happy with my surroundings. And then you can, further elaborate, expressing satisfaction when you're satisfied by an outcome. Say, for example, in the letter of the complaint that we made regarding losing our, things in the airport or in the flight, once we recover it, and we have to write a letter on that, we could always begin by saying that I was delighted to learn that the staff at the airport was able to locate my missing bag, and you have no idea how big sign of it or big relief it was for me, as I was quite worried about the loss of my personal items, and I was very thrilled to hear from one of your executives that my missing bag has been located, something like this. Expressing concern, when you're concerned about something, you can definitely put it up. So here I am writing to express my concern about, so when you're tensed about certain situations, say for example, you've just recently come to know that the garden or the park in your locality is now being closed, and instead of that, there will be a big shopping mall that would be constructed. and you are very concerned that with this shopping mall, the peace and quietness around your area would be disturbed. The children and the old people in your area will not be able to utilize that for your daily activities of jogging, walking in the park, refreshing, and they would really lose a really good activity spot. So here you could, like write a letter to the civic administration stating that, dear sir, my name is so and so, and I'm writing this letter to express my concern about shutting down the local park in our area, and I was quite shocked to know that instead of it, a brand new mall would be constructed. I am, and I am really, and I wish to express my dissatisfaction that if a mall is constructed in the place of a playground, then that will snatch away the routine activities or routine healthy activities which people of my society have been following for almost 10 years now. Children will lose their space of playing in the playground. Elders would lose, their privacy in sitting enjoying the surroundings of the garden. At the same point of time, the peace and the sanity around my area would greatly be disturbed. Also, at the same point of time, there would be a lot of cars that would come to visit the malls, and this would increase noise pollution. At the same point of time, the park is also very quite common for bird watching, where very variety of species of birds often use it as a nesting ground, and because of this, a lot of people in the bird photography business are attracted, and so on. You can build up your own ideas regarding this. All right. So similarly, when you are giving bad news, I regret to advise you, I regret to inform you. So in the context where you have to write a letter to your friend to change the date, so you can say, I regret to inform you that I will not be able to meet you at the promised date or duration, or I will not be able to submit my assignment on the promised duration, something like this. When you're making suggestions, you can use, perhaps it would be useful to, or perhaps it would be possible to. So in the same context of the mall and the playground, and I would like to make a suggestion, perhaps it would be useful to shift the location of the mall elsewhere and spend more time and more amount of money in restructuring the playground. This will become an ideal place for our society and encourage people, to come outdoors. Nowadays in this world, people are usually occupied by their mobile phones. Because of this, they're unable to find time to spend in nature, and this will encourage them to come out, to jog, to exercise, to experience the vibrancy in nature, and that can really boost up their motivation, encouragement, and stuff like this. Thanking you can be used in context such as, I'm extremely grateful for, I really appreciate your contribution, your advice, your help, your suggestions, and thank you for your patience, for your suggestions, for your efforts, something like this. All right. So you can use this in context with various of letters. You can use this to express your concerns, your emotions. All right. So these can be used with wide varieties of essays. You can use this in one entire essay if possible. So you could try using such opening lines and such closing lines, so that your ability to come up with a well-structured task one is extremely good, powerful, and you're able to put up a good performance when you're attempting your letter, and that can really help you score good times. Right. Now, certain tips I would like to share. First of all, you have to learn the format. So what we did was we learned the format of the letters. We saw what sort of letters are there, formal, informal, semi-formal, what could be the appropriate lines or the contexts in which to start with an inquiry, with an apology or suggestions. Also, a very important part is to adhere to time. 20 minutes is the maximum time which I feel should be utilized behind a letter, and don't go beyond it. Otherwise, you will lose momentum, because your task is also important. Keep it short and simple. Don't try to write a little bit. Don't go too emotionally inside the essay, or don't be too harsh. Always make sure to maintain a professionalism while writing a letter. It should reflect that a person is using an assertive tone, but don't go beyond that. Some people have a habit of making it really filled with a lot of emotional anger. So don't do that. And yes, use linkers. Linkers specifically are words which are used to denote momentum, which are used to denote categorization. If you want to add consequences, you want to highlight something in particular, if you want to move from one aspect to the other, there are certain words. So for listing, it could be firstly, secondly, thirdly. If you're putting up points, first of all, this could be useful in suggestions, where if you're providing suggestions, on a suggestive letter. If you're giving examples, you can use words such as for example, for instance, as follows. That is, if you're generalizing, say for example, you're summing up something that overall it would have a bad effect. So in general, this would not be a good idea, or generally, according to me, this will not work. On the whole, I believe this is a fantastic idea. Okay, for the most part, I completely agree that such kind of an advice would be really useful to students, something like this. Reinforcement is adding something to an existing part, for example, also, furthermore, moreover, what is more, in addition, besides. So a neat example could be that in the complaint letter which we saw, you could add that I was carrying inside the luggage, I had my books, my important papers and documents. In addition to that, I also had a brand new leather jacket which costed me around 3,000 rupees, something like this. So here you have the word in addition. Apart from that, you can, when you're talking about as a consequence or highlighting a result, you can use so, therefore, as a result of a consequence, accordingly, consequently, because of this, thus. If you want to highlight something in particular, you can use words in particular, particularly. For example, if you want to highlight that among these missing items, something is very important. So among these missing items, particularly the jacket is very important to me, as it was a birthday gift from my grandmother, something like this. All right. When you want to change it or reformulate it, in other words, when you're trying to highlight something, in other words, for example, that this was the closure of the parks would definitely invite problems, and in other words, could be a bad sign for society, something like this. All right. So this is what you can use. Again, in the context of now, if you're talking in the present context, you can say as far as X is concerned, or with regards to, with reference to, if you're pointing in aspect of something, you can use these words. In other words, for example, say if you're talking in the other cases, so in that case, otherwise this implies to. If you're contrasting, then yes, instead, conversely, on the contrary, in contrast and comparison. If you're like summarizing it, then you could use in conclusion, to conclude, in my belief, in my opinion, overall. Stating the obvious when it's making a fact which is very obvious that is bound to happen. Of course, such kind of an act can lead to unimaginable problems, or obviously this could not be the right solution to this problem. Surely this would affect all who are a part of the society, something like this. When you're talking about concessions, that is unexpected, even though, or say when you're trying to focus on an area where you're saying that no matter whatever you do, this is going to happen. So you could say, even though with so many alternatives available, people will still continue to use mobile phones while driving, or nevertheless, okay, or because even today with so many health pandemics arising, a lot of people, even though government has made wearing mask compulsory, some people still don't follow that particular rule. So something like this you can use. So these were the linkers which you could use appropriately for your letters. All right. Another piece of advice I would like to give you is that reading letters always makes you more confident. So continue reading letters. Okay. And apart from this, writing letters makes you more effective when it comes to putting the theory into practice. So I would suggest write letters, read letters online. There are tons and tons of good descriptive letters available, which are around 7 to 8 bands, 6.57 bands. So pertaining to what kind of band score you need, I would suggest that you please read those letters, so you come to know what sort of a language am I looking at. For people whose aim is to read 6, I would understand, don't read letters which are too high or classy, or has a lot of emotional or a lot of assertiveness inside it. First, learn how to write simple letters, and then focus on getting your vocabulary up on scale. All right. Now moving on towards the general essay writing. Now I understand that the general essay writing is a little bit different as compared to academic essay writing, but I believe there is not a major difference. Only the topic which is being asked is different. Academic get a different topic, and general academics get a different topic. The judgment of ideas is completely same. Task achievement, coherence, cohesion, grammatical and lexical resources. Nothing changes there. The only thing what the general candidate may get is more of topics which are asked on the basis of their own experience, work-related or employment-related essays. However, they can get essays which follow the academic criteria as well. Now, for the general essay writing, you must write about 250 words. So you have a compulsion of writing around 250 words, and this should be completed in approximately 40 minutes. Okay, because you also need to complete writing task 1 in the first 20 minutes of the 1 hour writing test. So ideally, spending 20 minutes behind your task 1, so you have 40 minutes remaining to write 250 word essay. To write the perfect answer and to get the highest Ielts band score possible, you need to write quickly, but also keep calm and focus on writing your answer. So you have to be focused, you have to be calm, you can't panic. If you panic, you will not be able to get good thoughts, and you have to be a little bit confident about your writing skills. In all parts of the Ielts exam, we should try to show that you have a broad knowledge of Ielts vocabulary, ensure that you write the correct spellings and avoid silly grammatical mistakes. So if you have a broad knowledge of English vocabulary, it should be fine. But if you don't have it, you have to start developing it. So the best way to develop a broad knowledge of vocabulary is to read articles, journals, read essays, read books. This allows your brain to tap into these versatilities, and then you should be able to come up with good amount of vocabs. Also, vocabulary becomes stronger once you start using it day to day in its writing and its speaking context. So if you have a couple of words which you have found out from the internet, so instead of directly using them into writing in sentences, first learn to pronounce them, start to use them every day in your day-to-day life, see which aspects can be used with it, and then start writing it down. So that way you'll be able to remember them much quickly. And correct spelling, yes, spellings are very important. Without bad spellings, you will not be able to get far ahead in the general Ielts examination. So make sure that you learn the correct spelling of it, because your correct spelling is also dependent upon the correct pronunciation. A lot of people have a habit of using S a lot in the end of their speeches. So because of this, they say peoples, persons, individuals. So again, that causes problems. So always make sure that you learn the correct spelling. And also, if you have facing difficulties in grammar, take this up with a trainer. Grammatical mistakes will not allow you to move towards vocabulary knowledge. It will always keep you pinned down, because half of the time you're still working between are, what should come after are, what should come after is, he, she, then, can, could. So these are areas where if you are facing difficulties in these areas, make sure that you first get this thing, sorted out. The best way to do that is by reading. If you're making such kind of silly mistakes in your entire essay, which definitely means that your grammar, while you are transiting from, thought process to practical implementation, there is a mistake. So in order to, avoid doing that, read essays a lot. Essay reading will help you to, will provide you the concept of creating a better sentence. So your sentence formation will become more stronger. So because of this, you'll be able to avoid making such silly grammatical mistakes. All right. Now, the essay type questions for task 2 are usually asking about some general thing in society. The topic would be based on education or health, age, gender roles, role of men and women, the youth, the environment, basically anything. So these are very common topics. Therefore, you cannot, a lot of people do this. They try to memorize each and every aspect. Okay, this sentence is pretty good, I'll memorize it. You can't do that. Okay, this means that you are memorizing everything. For example, how odd it would be that you're traveling in a train. Okay, you're looking out the window and you're trying to memorize every leaf, every stone, every butterfly, every goddamn thing outside the scenario. It's impossible. All right, you cannot do that. Okay, you cannot just memorize anything and write it down, especially if it's a language test. All right, so remove that. If you find something that is very good inside, say a written context which you're reading, and you say, okay, this is the word which I found, I really like this word and I want to use it, don't memorize that statement. That statement and that word has been written with that particular context. You might not know that you will be using the same context in your essay. If you want to learn how to use that word appropriately, you first need to find its meaning. Then you need to read sentences based on that particular word, and then you need to use that word in that common context in order to make sure that now it has been integrated in your thinking system. If you just put up a word, memorize its pronunciation, but if you're not able to use that effectively, you're wasting your time. So don't do that. Okay? So do not use learning or memorizing techniques in IELTS writing task 2. It cannot be done that way. You are not a superhuman who can just digest immense amount of vocabulary and place it there. No, you cannot do that. However, there is a system which gives us that balanced structure, which can help people to get good marks on their answering question. What is that system? We would be looking at in the later slides. Now, what happens is a lot of IELTS candidates do not do this. Okay, they usually focus only on writing letters, writing essays, writing letters, writing essays. You also have to remember that your essay writing skills will not upgrade immediately. Okay, you need to make sure between every essay and every letter, you are also making it a habit of reading information, reading letters, reading essays, getting more amount of ideas. This is very important because if you're unable to do this, if you're not doing it, you will always compromise your writing skills in the examination and you will be stuck. And you will be stuck at that 0.5, which would be really difficult then to remove. Okay, so in order to see an improvement in your writing, make sure that you are reading, you're working on your grammar, you're working on your vocabulary, you're reading more articles, reading more journals, okay, reading more letters, and then attempting to write a second essay. People write 10 letters, 10 essays, okay, and what happens is they repeat the same mistakes in each essay. Sometimes they are able to perform well on one or two essays, which they know the most, in which they have an interest in, but they're unable to perform the same kind of, give same kind of performance in the remaining essays, in which they found a bit of confusion. For example, xenophobia. A lot of people might be confused with the word xenophobia. What does it mean? It feels as if the word has come out from a Star Wars or an alien context. Xenophobia basically means fear of immigrants. Okay, now people who know the words fear of immigrants and can relate to would say, okay, so this is about the xenophobia caused when people from other countries start working in other countries. So this is called xenophobia. Okay, so you might come across this word, but if you just memorize it, okay, xenophobia is a very good word, I'll use it. Don't do that. Because then the question arises, how would you be using this? So xenophobia can be used in multiple contexts. For example, nowadays the world has become quite xenophobic, but you can't leave it there. You have to, make rational explanations that the world today has become quite xenophobic and people, okay, have become quite, you could say, fear. People have generated fear, okay, or people are now living under fearful skies, as they believe that people who migrate to their country from other countries would be, and then you can continue, something like this. Similarly, there are other words, all right, which can be considered as really high band scoring words, but if you are unable to utilize it, you will not be able to fully write a functional essay regarding the same, all right? So, 40 minutes is a time period given to you to write a full essay, and out of which 20 minutes you'll be using for your task 1, so that leaves 40 minutes for your task 2. Now these are the 10 topics on which essays could be asked. There are more, but these are the 10 generalized ones. Technology, education, jobs and employment, on social aspects, society aspects, advertising, environmental topics, personal habits, travel, savings and finance, shopping. So these could be some of the important topics which could be asked in the general IELTS writing module in task 2. So you need to make sure that you need to cover topics based on all these 10 areas. So in order to get a better idea of what sort of points to cover, what sort of points not to cover, which areas to maintain, learn the proper vocabulary structures associated with these particular topics. Also go through essays which have scored 6, 7, 7.5 bands in these areas. There are tons of topics available on multiple websites where people have posted their own writing skills. People have also posted essays which are around 7 to 7.5, 8 bands worth. So that can really help you understand what sort of writing skills you need. If you want to look at scores which are around 6 to 6.5, you can also do that. This can help you merge your writing with the kind of style you require. So this is something which you can do. There are 3 variants that can be asked. Now this is very important, all right? You also need to understand what sort of essays are being asked in the general context. So the first ones are the opinion-based essays. Opinion-based essays basically are the agree or disagree essays. These essays are asking for your opinion whether you agree on a particular topic or disagree. You can partially agree and disagree. For example, the essay where many people feel that children should focus more on subjects which are related to their careers, such as maths and science, and spend less time in learning subjects such as music and sports. Do you agree or disagree? Now, you can take this one way. You can take it the other way around if you know the positives of learning more amount of spending equal time in music and in sports. But you can also keep it balanced by saying that maths and science is also important from a career perspective. At the same point of time, investing their leisure time in pursuing activities related to music and sports can often help them unwind, make them learn the importance of being focused, diligent, disciplined, a team player, make them more comfortable, enhance their communication power, and so on. So this way, you need to understand which aspect you will be writing, because that can affect the content which you'll be writing. At the same point of time, it can also affect the number of words that you'll be writing. Second one is the argumentative essay. Argumentative essays usually provide inputs from two areas, two groups of people, or two perceptions. Something like this: many people feel that mobile phones have completely changed the way we live, whereas others opine that it has made us irresponsible and lazy. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the question? So, to what extent do you agree that it has made us lazy, or to what extent do you agree that it has really changed the way we live? So, this way you have to keep it 70-30. 70 on the aspect you would be agreeing on, and 30% on the opposite context. You can keep it 50-50 as well. All right. But that again depends upon the kind of writing style you have. And the best easy way out is to keep it 70-30. 70 on the aspect you would write, and 30% on the opposite context. So for example, say you believe that no, it has really revolutionized the way we live, brought us a lot of benefits, such as it has allowed us to communicate cross country at a very or at a free rate, as compared to the past where there were exceptional amount of costs if you wanted to connect to somebody in the USA. It has now made it possible for sharing videos, photographs instantly. Not only this, it is quite helpful in providing business solutions. It has become the one-stop solution for all your needs. You can make your banking payment, your banking, your shopping online, you can make your payments. That is where you get. And 30% on why it has made us more irresponsible and lazy is because we have become addicted to it. We have all our social contacts inside it. We have become, less outgoing. We are more, focused on our mobile phone. That has made us less interactive with our family members. Apart from this, since we can order everything from the touch of a button, we are unable to go out. Okay, we are not going out. We're not walking. We're not visiting the park. Something like this. Discussion-based topics are basically based on areas of cause and effect. Okay, so here they would be asking you to elaborate on 2 points. Okay, those could be 2 separate questions, or that could be cause and effect. For example, advertising forces us to buy things that we do not need. Why is this happening? What solutions could you provide? Or nowadays, because of globalization, temperatures across the world are rising, and this is creating problems for nature as well as for human beings. Why is this happening? What suggestions could you provide? Similarly, cause and effect could be another advantages, disadvantages, pros and cons. So these could be the 3 variants of the essays that could be asked to you. Depending upon these 3 variants, your essay structure will rapidly change. You need to understand how these 3 are written, the proper approach for them, the proper planning for them. At the same point of time, what sort of vocabulary and what sort of content needs to go through it. There would be a lot of brainstorming involved. So you need to make sure that if you are not already doing it, make sure to go online, check out a couple of videos on writing proper academic general structures for writing, or take help from your mentor. Ask him to explain you these 3 in detail. Ask him to show you the format of writing such essays in detail so that you can start practicing on your own. We would be looking at a full 40-minute written essay, which I have bought for you. I have taken this from online, but I found that this was a really good essay, so I wanted to share it with you. All right. So this topic is about shopping. So in the past, shopping was a routine domestic task. Many people nowadays regard it as a hobby. To what extent do you agree or to what extent do you think this is a positive trend? So this is an argumentative essay. It says that in the past, shopping was a domestic task. People actually went for shopping only when they needed something. But today it is a hobby. You can see that people, when they go to malls or when they visit these big shopping hubs, they don't actually do it from a sense of shopping. They just want to go there, enjoy the air conditioner. They want to use the free Wi-Fi, meet a couple of friends. Some people also go there for quick dates. So nowadays people just visit it just to spend time. I have 2.5 hours, nothing to do. Let's go to the mall and check out things. My intention to buy is not there, but I go there as a hobby because I like the environment. So to what extent do you think it is a positive trend? So if you think it is a positive trend, you would be writing this on 70% and 30% on the negative aspect. Okay, so let's look at how this has been structured. The introduction is quite crisp and simple. For a lot of people, shopping in the past used to be a chore. Chore definitely means a daily routine task. So chore can be used as a subsequent synonym of the word domestic task. But recently it has become a leisure activity or a pleasant outing. To my mind, it is debatable whether this can be regarded as wholly positive development. So here, the writer has directly stated the fact that it is debatable. So he's not quite convinced that it is completely a positive trend. There could be certain negatives associated with the same. So for earlier generations, buying food or consumer products involved visiting several shops, each with the same limited range on offer. So in the past, as we know, if we learn from our parents and grandparents, the variety was less. The number of people selling these things were less, and people usually went to the same places to buy their food or consumer products. And this only involved several limited amount of shops, and they had limited amount of ranges. Furthermore, consumers had less money and credit was not widely available. At that point of time, earning was less, prices were also less, and the variety was very small. So people did not spend a lot of money in shopping. Apart from this, credit system was very less. People did not get things on credit. Credit cards were also less available. So people only purchase things which they need on a day-to-day basis. By contrast, shoppers nowadays can find almost anything in the supermarket or shopping mall. The comfortable environment, the variety of goods and attractions such as cafes and cinemas make spending money enjoyable. Nowadays, with many parents working full-time, families have little time together. In my experience, it is normal to see families in local shopping malls at weekends. Undoubtedly, one of the benefits of this is that they are together as a family. So here, the writer has highlighted that today, as compared to the past, because of supermarkets and super malls, you can find everything. Billions and thousands, I would say, varieties of items are available. Apart from this, the environments in which these items are available are quite lucrative and attractive. They are inside malls with plentiful of facilities, a good amount of crowd. So when a person goes for shopping, he not only just buys what he needs, but he is also sharing his part of the enjoyable experiences that he gets by visiting such places. Apart from this, earlier time, people did not stop for a coffee when they were shopping for their domestic needs. Okay, but today you do. You go to Shoppers Stop, you shop there for an hour, then you see a cafe coffee day, you say, okay, I have 25 minutes extra, why not have a latte? While you're enjoying the latte, you might develop some other interests and you might go to another store. This is quite common these days. So he's actually used visualization to put it through and paint up a picture which is quite real and can be related to the present living scenario. Apart from this, it's quite true that today many parents are working full time. So families have little time together. So what they do is they go to malls because there everybody can find their places of relaxation. Women can go to their parlors or spas. Men can definitely get inside gadget stores. Children can definitely enjoy in the kids zone over there. And if the family wishes, they can dine in at one of the hundreds of eating joints and restaurants available upstairs, or probably enjoy a 1.5 hour movie at the comfort of a cinema hall. So this has been a lot of benefits which have been involved that the writer has highlighted. Nevertheless, this is not ideal, especially if it leaves no time for activities such as sports. So this is true. This is a disbenefit. People are no longer interested in working out or adhering to their health needs. In addition to this, another negative result of this change is in attitudes is the effect it has on young people all over the world who spend time in shopping malls. So definitely young people develop a sort of a bad habit of visiting malls and wasting time there. they are under the influences of advertising. So again, the reasons for this, they are under the influence of advertising and the availability of credit cards. On the one hand, they are with their friends in a safe environment, but on the other, it can tempt them to buy things they do not really need and may cause them to get into debt. But this has happened, right? When you're out shopping with your friends, you have a credit card, dad is so generous to give you a 50,000 rupees credit card, out of which you have a 40,000 rupee limit, and you're browsing through the shops, and when you see, okay, there is a big Virat Kohli wala signature t-shirt available at the latest Nike store, even though you have so many t-shirts, best and branded ones, since it is available for a limited time and at a limited budget and available on at an EMI for credit card payer users, definitely you will go and buy it because the advertisement is attracting you. All right. So similarly, people are trapped by such advertisements and they end up, say, I went to the mall to buy a shampoo, but because of the shampoo, because of purchasing 3 shampoos, I was getting 2 soaps free, and with those 2 soaps, I was getting a big bunch of diaper free. So I ended up sharing out $300 for a shampoo which have costed me $50. So this is something he's explained. In conclusion, I would like to suggest that although shopping now is less tedious, so tedious basically means less difficult, it's quite easy and enjoyable. It is not necessarily a positive trend. It may be good for retailers, but not for consumers if it replaces other healthier activities. So in terms of Ielts, why this has scored a 7+ because first of all, the introduction is quite crisp. It is paraphrased. It shows the direction where the writer wants us to go for. Second, the writer has used various of linking words, compound sentences. Okay, he has begun very crisply in terms of the main body in highlighting the positive points, and can be a variety of complex sentences which we can see. He's used linking words like by contrast, furthermore, nowadays, okay, nevertheless, all right. Apart from this, there are a wide variety of vocabularies available, collocations available, for example, limited range, debatable, okay, then you have undoubtedly over here, full time, parents working full time, okay, tedious, all right. Then you have safe environment, okay, tempt. So these could be the words that are putting in a lot of pressure, okay, and stress and importance on this particular sentence. So again, this makes it more crisp and more pushable towards a band 7 or above. Finally, I would be sharing certain tips and tricks with you. These are the tips for excelling at writing task 2. Learn to paraphrase. Paraphrasing is a very important and unique tool. Paraphrasing helps you to use your question in your own advantage. It can help you paraphrase certain contexts or areas of your question in a way where you can use it in your IELTS essay writing. Work with vocabulary, learn to use less common vocabulary tools, use the IELTS. So there were a lot of common vocabulary words which we saw, undoubtedly, then tedious, okay, then sure, then we also had other words, significance, perception. So these are very common words used in day-to-day lives to start using and start working with at least, say, vocabulary. I would suggest take 10 words, okay, of different contexts which are quite common, and start using those 10 words for at least 4 to 5 essays. You will learn how to use them in that manner instead of working on 20-25 words. Then again, take another 5 words, start using them along with these 10 words in your writing task. That can help you create a foundation of strong vocabulary which we use. Start to make more compound and complex sentences. Start to use the format of why, what, how. Okay, so answer the question. Make sure that you're making compound sentences. You're not just putting up a fact, but also describing the reason behind it. For example, in the previous essay we saw, for earlier generations, buying food or product involved visiting several shops, okay, each with a limited rate. So this is a complex sentence where the writer is highlighting what he wants to portray, that in the past, how was the system and how is it in contrast with the present system. So this is the way he has created more compound and complex sentences. You have to learn the art of visualizing. Visualizing helps you to get a clearer picture. Okay, it helps you to understand the question and its variables in an effective manner. And through visualization, you can add more to your existing essay. You can come up with a lot of points. Okay, that can really be helpful, especially when planning your essay. Learn time management. Always make sure that time management is very important. If time is less, you'll end up writing a very bad written essay, even though you are good at vocabulary and good at English. So always make sure that you learn how to write an essay in 45 minutes, okay? And then learn how to do it in 40 minutes. So always make sure first learn how to write an essay appropriately with proper grammatical structures, lexical resource and coherence. Then focus on your time. Do not try to merge everything at the start of it. You will become dazed, confused, you will become frustrated, you will start pulling the hair from your head, and then finally you will give up. So don't do that. Work under the guidance of a trainer, or there are a lot of tutorial videos available on YouTube where you can learn the art of writing it step by step. Stay focused, don't panic. If you panic, automatically you will not be able to give you 100%, and this can cause a lot of problems, especially when you are concluding your essay, because if your conclusion part is not strong and if you've missed it out because of your lack of focus, you could lose marks. Work with a trainer. Trainer looks at the perspective from Ielts. He does not look it from a perspective of a student. He understands coherence, he understands task achievement, he understands lexical resources and the grammar behind it. So a trainer would be able to provide you a feedback in terms of where you went wrong, what could be improved, what are the structures which need more attention, which sort of structures you should use, and what sort of grammatical context is correct and which is wrong. So they will provide you with the feedback which can help you to change your approach towards your IELTS writing skills. So please work with a trainer. Also implement your feedback. Trainers would suggest you a lot of things to do and to work with. If you are not going to follow that, there is no point of working with a trainer. So always make sure to listen to what your trainer says. If not, ask them 1,000 times and implement that feedback almost immediately. Okay, only then will you be able to rise from the mistakes you're making. If you do not do that, you will end up in a loop and you will start making the same mistakes again and again, and that will become frustrating for you as well as for your trainer. All right. Learn to use linkers effectively. I shared the list of linkers with you. Okay. Learn to use them effectively. Always make sure that before writing your writing task 1 and 2, make a list of linkers that you want to use, judging from reading the topic. Keep them written in front of you so that you don't forget them. This is the best possible idea that you can get. Before attempting your task 1 or task 2, just identify the linkers you can remember, 6, 7, 8, write them down in a piece of paper in front of you, so that when you're planning and writing your essays or your task 1, you are able to place them effectively without forgetting them. All right. And finally, like I always say, the Guru Mantra, or the Bible of cracking any language examination, is to read, read and read. Read to get more content, read to get a better understanding of grammatical framework, read in order to get more ideas, to brainstorm content, to learn more complex structures. And reading will make you wise, will make you more proficient, will make you more polished, will make you more confident. And with that, you should be able to crack your IELTS essay immediately. And yes, after that, you will garner praise for your writing skills. All right. So I hope that this particular presentation regarding your IELTS general module, your letter and your writing task 2 was productive. I hope that people follow these solutions and these suggestions and please implement them in a practical manner. There are multiple resources available online which you could use, and through this you should be able to devise a good strategy to approach your writing modules in your general IELTS examination. All right. I thank every one of you, the entire live audience who is watching and who would be watching this. Thank you so much for being a part of this particular presentation. Apart from this Saturday also, we are coming up with the IMI Talk 2. We received a lot of good responses from our previous IMI Talk 1 session and Facebook Live Zoom seminar. We are so thankful. Thank you so much, everybody, for the likes and the views that you provided. And because of that, we are bringing another IMI Talk, which will commence at 6 p.m. on our Facebook Live page. The information is available on Safe Educate. If you haven't clicked it, please click it, like it, share it. And we would be bringing in students and residents from Canada. This is going to be Canada exclusive. So do not forget to join us, where people from Canada and the residents would be sharing the status of the COVID-19 epidemic there, how they are coping up, how have they been in Canada, what have they been doing, and have all your reality checks done on all your various questions. This is going to be a free interactive seminar, so everybody can participate with their questions. So also please look into that. All right. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week again with a new video towards your IELTS and immigration needs. Stay tuned till then and take care, stay safe, and keep yourself safe from COVID-19. God bless you, everybody. And thank you so much.